There we go. So look, this session is going to be really interactive. So please use the chat box, ask questions. Susan's going to run a Menti. The more you put in, the more you'll get out of the session. Feel free to turn your camera on if you want. And yeah, just remember your netiquette. We're all, you know, professionals here in the academic arena. I know you don't need to be reminded of that. So Susan, I'm going to hand over to you. We've got good numbers now, so I'll just stop sharing and I'll sit back and enjoy the session. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Well, hello everyone, and you are super welcome. This is my first future skills session, and the one right after this is how to boost your ambition at 1 o'clock. So I'm really on an Ulster University academic role at the moment. So I'm going to give you very little about me at this stage because you're going to hear a lot more throughout. But I am an associate lecturer here at Ulster University, and I have been lecturing on global capital markets for the past couple of years, and then I've also worked in a variety of the other departments as well. So I set up my first business when I was 21, and then I went on to set up my first company when I was 24. And as I say, I'll tell you lots more about that. And resilience, really, a lot of people think that it's bounce back ability. It's the ability to bounce back from adversity, but actually instead, or as well, it can also be how to push forward when there aren't any obstacles in your way. And that's probably where a lot of us actually sit, which is that you can go forward for a new job or a placement or a promotion or a completely different direction in general. But actually, it's resilience you need is in order to push yourself forward more so than anything else. And it's going to be from that point of view that I am going to share with you my 6 key areas or 6 key things that I do in order to boost my resilience all the time, both for me, for the team that I work with, as well as the organizations and the clients that I have and the students that I work with and so on. So first of all, let's hear from you. So I'm just going to hand over there a Mentimeter, and I'm going to present it. And if you could just click on the code or click on the link there, I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to see what you say, because at the end of the day, today is all about you. And so let's just see now. The question that I'm going to ask you is what builds your resilience? So according to the definition that I've given you, which is resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, as well as the ability to push forward when there isn't anything standing in front of you, but there's nobody guiding you forward either. So what builds your resilience? Okay, so motivation is one. Okay, let's see what else you've got here. Preparation, repetition, yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah, hope, reflection, positive thinking, yeah, confidence, trying things, yeah. It's interesting as well as the words. They're bigger. The words that appear bigger are also the ones that are being repeated. So experience, it's interesting, experience is coming up here as the main word there in the middle. Motivation as well. I'm seeing confidence, I'm seeing ambition here. Motivation is overtaken, okay? So I'm just going to go around as well. So we're getting loads and loads in here. Please do keep them coming. So perseverance, all of these are great words. Being rational, good self-esteem, good mental health, absolutely. Stubbornness, yep. Self-worth, encountering challenges, yeah, that's true as well. I'm loving the fact that the word motivation and confidence are jumping off the screen here. Interesting that you've picked rejection as well. Some people can turn that into fuel to look at things differently. So then there's peace of mind, self-worth, versatility, great. Do you know what I'm noticing about you all as well is there's lots of syllables in these words. And it's people like me and Rachel love a good few syllables, so great to see that as well. Faith, yep, positivity, refusing to give up. Okay, now, brilliant, right? That's really, really good. And what I'll do later on is I will tweet that. By the way, I'm at Susan Hayes _. Now I just tweeted out the link to the session. So if any of you want to continue the conversation online afterwards, I'm just going to give you my Twitter handle there. So I am going to make sure and tweet this afterwards. So there is my Twitter handle there, Susan Hayes _. And absolutely, when I tweeted out originally, it was on #FutureSkillsWeek. So thank you for that. Right now, can I turn the tide a little bit here, and can I also ask you another question? Okay, can I also ask you this one? What drains it? Now, to anybody who's just joined us, you're super welcome. And I'm just giving you the Mentimeter, the link there into Mentimeter. Anybody who wants to join us. So what drains your resilience? Let's just see, because we also need to deal with this as well. And it's really, really great to hear people and about your sense of positivity. Okay, what drains it? Negativity, rejection, nerves, negative thoughts. Okay, yeah, not being good enough. So rejection at the moment is coming up here biggest. And of course, the title of today is how to become immune to that, which I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to give you my ways of doing so. A lot of negative words now appearing, naturally enough. So comparison, definitely, yeah. And particularly when it's comparison to, you know, to moving goals, not being good enough, fear of the unknown, yeah. And that's what you really need resilience for, actually, is what if you don't know what's going to happen? Like, I'm applying to go on placement, like, will I be in the office? Will I be out of the office? Who will train me? Who will I turn to? I can't knock. You can't virtually knock on someone's door, or can you? What's the culture of how that works? Okay, so self-doubt, not knowing what to do. Imposter syndrome, yep. Certainly I've suffered from that a lot. Anxiety, failing, worry. Now you see the words here are all, you know, quite negative and condescending and overthinking and exhaustion, all those things. All right, so let's see what we can do about that then. And also, can I just say as well, is that I'm going to leave another slide there on Mentimeter. At any stage, if anybody has any questions, you can pop them in there. Okay, so you can pop them in there, and also anybody can keep an eye on those, and you can upvote them, etc. So at any stage you can, and I'll keep an eye on it. I'm going to put it there on my other screen because I want to move over here and I want to share some slides with you. But I'm going to keep an eye on the Q&A over there at any stage, and that's going to be left open throughout. Okay, so but let's now get right in, and let's get working on some techniques to deal with what you have just been telling me about. So I'm going to make sure my slides are appearing on the correct spot. Now, in researching for today, here is where I have had, here's where I've looked, right? So I've looked into disability, I've looked into unemployment, I've looked at managing people, I've looked at lockdown, I've looked at personal finance, personal development, productivity and relationships. From all of these areas is where I have gleaned the 6 key steps that I'm going to share with you today about how I've become more resilient, but in particular as well, how I've become immune to rejection, and I'm going to tell you all about that. Right. So the 6-step model that I'm going to talk to you about today is the PREFER model, PRFER. And I've just typed that in there. So the first letter is P, and the letter P stands for perspective. Now, one of the best things that we can possibly do in order to become more resilient is to map reality with expectations more accurately. And let me tell you now about a perspective from a disability point of view that I want to tell you about, that I've never, ever forgotten. I was at a conference in New York, and it was with a guy called Mark Pollock. Now, some of you might have heard about him. He's the guy behind Run in the Dark. He's now paralyzed in both of his legs. He's also blind. He's been an explorer. He was speaking, right, and he's an inspiration speaker who is great crack and just has incredible, and sometimes it's hard to explain this, but he's got great vision despite the fact that he's blind. And the way in which he explained about what has happened and the work that he's done, you know, really, really interesting, and everyone was genuinely feeling very inspired by him at this conference. Now, it was in New York, it was the end of the day, and there was going to be a drinks reception afterwards, and he was the guy speaking last. And I just will never, ever forget what happened when it came to the Q&A. Because somebody put up their hand and they said, Mark, my question is, I got a call from my nephew 10 days ago. He's 12. He's been in a surfing accident. The only thing he can move is his eyes. What do I tell him to make him feel better? And you could have heard a pin drop in that audience. Everyone forgot that it was Friday. Everyone forgot that it was the end of the day. All eyes were on Mark. Mark didn't flinch. He didn't even flinch as he sat in that wheelchair and he looked out at the microphone. And he looked straight. He looked straight at the person who asked the question. And do you know what he said? Nothing. You can do nothing. There's nothing you can do to make him feel better. Not right now. But he said, I'll tell you what you can do. Is all you need to be able to do with him is help him accept his present. Because right now he's thinking, why did I ever get on that surfboard? Why me? Why not someone else? All those questions. He says, don't tell him it'll be completely fine in the future, because it won't. But also don't let him lose hope for the future, because there's plenty of hope. But the thing is, what he's doing right now is focusing on the future. You have to help him accept his present. That's all. He says, when he accepts his present, well, then he'll be able to look forward to his future. And I never forgot it. That's years ago. I was at that conference and I thought think about it, losing a job, bereavement, recession, anything like that, the hardest part of any of these is accepting that it's happening. And it's when you've done that, that is when you can truly move forward. Personally, even with me in lockdown, an awful lot of the business disappeared in front of my eyes within 48 hours. And it was really hard to accept, really, really, really hard. But it's when I did accept that this was happening, this wasn't going to go away overnight or over the next few weeks. I didn't really have, at the time, visibility to see that it wasn't going to go away over the next couple of months. Then I could start thinking again. So the first thing I would say is, when you can map reality to expectations, then you can do something. Then you can deal with it. So the first thing is accept the reality that you have. And you don't have to accept it all today, by the way, but just understanding that you are where you are, it can actually be a really, it can be a really good thing to actually map that forward. The second thing that I would say here is, that can be really important, I'm just going to go past that now for a second, is empathy. Is when you have an understanding about how another person feels, it can be you can be far better at understanding about what their point of view. So I want to tell you a story about this as well. I have 3 staff in Belgium, and one of them, I'm going to change his name for the purpose of the story, just in case you ever come across him. But I'm going to call him John, right? There's few enough Johns in Belgium now, but anyway, I'm going to call him John. And John kept on telling me how one of the other guys in the team, oh, he was all wrong. He was slow and he was unpunctual and he wasn't good to clients and he was this and he was that. And I was really questioning my own judgment at this stage. I was saying, seriously, how could I have recruited someone? Because I'm not bad at this. Like, how could I have recruited somebody and be developing somebody where I think they could be actually that bad? And I said, anyway, okay, what's really going on here? So this was incessant. It was incessant. I was constantly hearing how bad this other guy was. So anyway, then I decided, right, I need to figure out here what's really going on. So I'm going to give you a silver bullet question that you can learn, that I read in a book called The Art of Asking the Right Questions. Questions when it comes to managing people or sales. And by the way, you're all in sales if you're selling into the labor market through placement or getting a job or promotion or whatever. And here is the question that I asked of John. Is I said, right, John, I understand you're having concerns with X. That's the number one way, by the way, to have empathy with someone, is to tell them that you understand how they're feeling, or that you're trying to. And I said, I understand you're having problems with this other guy. I said, and I'm trying to help you on this, right? So I said, what would you do if you were in my situation? That's the question I learned in the book. What would you do if you're in my situation? Do you know what his answer was? Look, you're the manager, you should know. Now, I didn't raise my voice, kept it calm, and I said, I understand that. However, I'm learning too. Now, John, what would you do if you're in my situation? Because the thing is, despite the fact he sounded like he was giving cheek, which he was, and I rarely accept it, but I had a different objective. I had a bigger issue to sort out here. What he was trying to do was deflect me. And that was not going to happen that day. And I said, I understand, but I value your opinion. What would you do if you were me? And then so anyway, after a while, he says, you know what I'd do? I would go and I'd ask 3 of our clients what they think of him, and then you'll hear the real story. I said, good idea. So I did. And I was at a trade show in Amsterdam a little bit after that. And, 3 of our clients were there when I went up and I said, taking on this new guy, what do you think? They all came back and their answers were either very good or neutrally, like, yeah, grand, why are you asking me? So anyway, I went back to John and I said, did what you suggested. I said, I did what you suggested. And I said, as regards what I'm hearing about this other guy, he seems fine. What's really the problem, John? So the thing is that now I got into his head and I was genuinely interested to hear what he had to say. And then he says to me, I'm jealous of him. He says, that's what's wrong. I'm worried that he's going to take my job. And I said, well, if you told me that months ago, it would have sorted out an awful lot of other things along the way. Right, I said, your job is fine. Your job is absolutely fine. Here's 3 reasons why. Here is the direction I'm putting this guy in. And in fact, if things go well with him, that will turbo boost promotional opportunities that I have for you too. Poor John, says Kathy. Well, exactly. But the thing is that didn't actually, I couldn't be empathetic for him because he was guarding himself. So, and I've since told that story to lots of people, and lots of people tell me when they try out that question, what would you do if you were me? They often get that hardcore response back of, well, you should know, you're the boss. But the thing is, as I say, don't be deflected by that. Don't be deflected by that at all. And asking that question, now that really helped me deal and understand with his frustration, but actually get to the root of the issue. So I needed his perspective. It's John's perspective was the one that I really needed. And now, of course, the other guy apparently is great. He's developed an awful lot since. And then the third thing that I would also say as well is meaning. Is every single day at the top of my diary, I could show you here, every single day at the top of my diary, I write down something that I have done that has made a difference to me or to somebody I've worked with, or to somebody entirely unrelated to me, or something. Because on those days that times are tough, you don't need to look back on all the achievements that you've had, the milestones that you've had. You don't need those. You're fine. The thing is, on the days when it is tough, when you do feel the rejection, or all the words that you mentioned there to me earlier, that's the time that you really need to feel that sense of meaning. It really, really, really is. And can I ask you now to just pop into the chat? Can you just tell me about a day, a time, an experience, a moment, a compliment, whatever it might be? Just tell me about a time that you really felt there was real value in what you were doing, or that you were really making a step forward. Maybe it was a day that, and just pop them in the chat, maybe it was a day that, you know, you really got to the teeth of something where you were finding it very hard, or it was a day that you got a great assignment, or just a day you were working on a group project and there was a great bit of crack and you learned a lot and you felt you really bonded, or something like that. I'd just be interested. I'm going to give you a moment now just to think about that and just write it into the chat there, and let's hear what you have to say. When the penny dropped and I understood my coding module that was on the course, supervisor said it was great project, making great progress, passed my A levels and got into Ulster. Yeah, great. All the managers said good job and you're a hard worker. Yeah, super. Positive feedback in an email from an employer. Great one. And gee, do you know what I'll also say to you there on that is, whenever I get, you know, kind feedback from, now in my case, let's say it might be a client, is I'll often go back to them and I'll say, would you mind if I to copy and paste that onto LinkedIn as a recommendation? So that then it becomes a private message to you, and then that becomes a, you know, third party validation thereafter. That's something I've done lots and lots and lots over the years, and people often say, yeah, fine, no problem, because the work is in writing the recommendation, or the work is in actually describing it. So have a think about that one. Probably my first year I realized to appreciate myself and that I was capable. Brilliant. Playing well in a football match and getting noticed by my managers. Exactly. Now, can I tell you one thing that I do here? Is I don't just learn how to make me immune to rejection. I'm also doing the secret weapon here. Also with my, she's now my 11-year-old goddaughter. And I just think she's wonderful. And I'm going to see her Sunday and I'm so excited. But anyway, beside all that, her name is Ava. Her real name, not like John. Her real name is Ava. And Ava, whenever I'm over with Ava, I'll unpost like bright, sparkly pink post-it notes. I write down something I've achieved, just like I'm telling you to do with you now, and I do the same with her. So anyway, then one day I was studying for a diploma in tax at the time, and I said, Ava, I'm finding my maths homework hard today. And she says, what? Now, I think she was about 7 at the time. She says, what? I didn't think adults found their sums homework difficult. And I said, oh, yes, I do. Yep, certainly this one anyway. And so I wrote that down, and I said, what about you? You know, maybe what did you do well today or whatever? And kind of we were having the chats about this. And over time, we have this jar of post-it notes now between us where it's stuff that I found hard and overcome, or that I found meaningful, and same with her. Now, to be quite honest, at 11, she doesn't really need this, right? But you know when she will? Is when she's a teenager and she won't be getting enough likes on Instagram, or someone says something to her in the playground that she doesn't like, or she's questioning whether she's smart enough to take on a certain O level or whatever. That's the thing, you see, is that by giving her this immunity now, at the moment, Ava tells me that I'm the nicest person in the world. Respect, like. So I'm not always going to have that title. Sometime I'm just going to be someone who's older and I'll sound like her mom. Whereas now, during this, like, this kind of, you know, this 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, who's bulletproof, because this is just something she does with her Auntie Susie. So on that point, that's what I do. But I do it for me too, and I practice what I preach. I promise. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. It's one of our company values, is that we only practice what we preach. So I write these down at the top of the diary every day, because on the days that I'm feeling, why doesn't it feel like I'm getting anywhere? This is what I go back and I look through those notes and go, oh yeah, actually, do you remember that day that it led to this, or how I overcame that, and like I felt it was a failure at the time, and look at what it turned into. So that's the first letter of P for prefer. Is perspective, is mapping reality to expectations, having empathy for someone and asking them to have empathy for you. And that can be a great question, is what would you do if you were me? And then the third thing is documenting something every day about the meaning of what you're doing and why you're doing it. I'm loving to see all of these meanings are coming in here. So that's brilliant. That's really, really good. Keep them coming. I'll also tell you the reason I asked you to write it down and share it with us as opposed to think about it is when you write it, so people who are big proponents of journaling will tell you this. When you write it, you basically relive the experience as well. Okay, now I'm now going to talk to you about the second letter, which is R for resourcefulness. Okay, now this is the bit that I really want to tell you about, the immunity for rejection that I have from a business sense. Now, all of you right here, all 60 of you right now, okay, you're all mini businesses in your own way. So here's where we need to work together with your mindset in this. So let's just think through this together, right? So I have a business where I sell goods and services, and you are selling your own service, which is your own labor, to one employer, which is one client. So just think about that from the first point of view. Now, how I deal with this is my immunity spreadsheet, and this is what I have here. So first of all, I write down when I'm selling into companies, like you're selling into companies, whether it, as I say, it could be for a promotion, or it could be for a placement, or it could be for a new job, is first of all, I write down all of the various different companies that I'm applying to, right? Then I write down the contact of the person. In my case, I can be working anywhere in the world, right? So of course, particularly with this digital environment, I can be working anywhere in the world. Then I also write down the price. In your case, it might be the salary. I write down the content of what we're proposing to work with them on. In your case, this could be the job description. And then I also document an update. Okay, so last time I applied for the job on the 11th of May. I followed up with an email, let's say on the 24th of May, right? Now, let me tell you when I really needed this spreadsheet. 2018, right? 2018 was the year I really built the technique that I'm showing you about building the immunity part, the resilience. I've been researching my my model for resilience since 2016, but the 2018 was the immunity bit, because like we developed a new business idea at the time, and it ended up being a failure. Now I've had 2 business failures. That was the second one, and it was awful though, right? This one was awful because we came up with this new idea. It was scalable, it was cool, technically it was adept. I would have bought it myself, all those sorts of things. But when I brought it to the market, I got, yeah, or else come back, you know, come back when someone else has used it, and you've got a working model with a success story. But I needed that first one. I really needed that first one to prove to the others. And I filled this spreadsheet here with 16 different ideas, 16 different companies I went to in Ireland, in the UK, in Hong Kong, in Malta, and in the US. There are 5 key markets that we work in. And I filled them, and I had everything from large company, small company, charity, not-for-profit, European funding, university. Like I had all sorts of everything. And the way in which I handled rejection, because I got an awful lot of it that year, was first of all, everything that went on, that was every piece of feedback I got, I didn't internalize it, right? It's almost like I let it glance past me and onto the spreadsheet, and I just documented it here. And what I did then was that every single time that something came back, what I did then was that then I went on and I moved it across the various tabs, right? So at the moment down here you can see outstanding. But then what I did was that anything that where it was like, yeah, listen, come back to us in the future, I moved over here to wider opportunities. So maybe in your case, maybe it is that you're applying for a job and you know a job isn't there right now, but they tell you to keep in contact or keep an eye on the website, or maybe it's through a recruitment company that you're going through. Similarly, they say there's nothing there at the moment, but come back to us in the future. Or maybe it is that now that you've kind of evolved in the conversation, maybe you're the one that's walking away, is I put this over here into wider opportunities. And I consider the wider opportunities a little bit later on. So I might come back to them maybe once a month. And then over here, this is what really matters then. Here's where I really was able to boost my ability to handle what I was handling. Was anything that got accepted. I took acceptance as they'll take a call, they'll have a meeting, they'll accept a proposal. And that's what I did, was I just refined what was happening and determining over here what was being accepted, what the yes bit was, where I was receiving the yeses. And I was really focusing on them. And the days that I needed to focus on, you know, I'd come in and I'd look at the spreadsheet and outstanding would be full of uncertainty. I would then move over and I would just document what had been accepted, when a proposal had been accepted, a meeting had been accepted, anything that had been accepted. But it's over here, this was particularly interesting, was then I went over here and I started looking at what was unaccepted. So this was when I was getting no's. When after that, I started writing down why I was getting the no's. Why? And that was when the immunity really started to happen, because then I realized, okay, if I listen to why they're saying no, for a start, very few people ask why not. Most people just say no, get disappointed, and then, try to build themselves back up again. Because I was using the no's as information about how to either move that no into a yes, or how to move these outstanding queries into yeses. And as I started documenting the no's, I realized there was two sorts of no's. One was no because actually it wouldn't have worked for me or for them. And the other no was actionable information, actionable insights. And that it was using that information was what completely transformed that idea. We completely rebuilt it, by the way. Not technically, we just rebuilt the business model, and it's now responsible for 40% of our revenue today. And I cannot tell you the amount of times I drove into the office in the morning, and I had 2 staff working on that project, where I used to come in and I used to be in tears driving into the car in the morning, because I was the one that had to inspire them to keep going. I was the one that had to lead us with vision. And I really was not figuring out where I was going. This spreadsheet was what led me there. Was that then when I started seeing, okay, what have we got yeses on and why? What have we got no's on and why? Of the no's, what ones would actually, that makes sense on both sides, and what other no's can turn that information into actionable insights to moving forward. Another book recommendation for you is Clear and Critical Thinking by Valerie Pierce. Taught me that technique about if you ask why not, and genuinely ask why not, and be interested, be hungry to know why not. That can often lead you to the information about what you just need to fix to turn it around right. And that is how I became immune. So now when I hear no's, I do the very same thing. Do the very, very, very same thing. Now we're in the process of building a new product now again. I don't know whether I'll have to go through this whole process again. And I run a business all the time, so there's always yeses and no's anyway. But this has given me, it's depersonalized the rejection bit. As Susan, you're being rejected too. The product is not being accepted, or the timing isn't right, or the product market fit needs to be adjusting. That's often what you need, is to take away that sense of I'm being rejected, which is what I totally felt to my core, and replace it instead with, what actionable insights can I get from these in order to move on? So this comment has come in here. Great advice, Susan. Don't be afraid of asking why you face rejection. Be hungry to ask why. Be hungry for it. Want to know why. That is what I do now. Now when someone says no to me, I'm like, okay, right, we're only part of the way through this now. And I always say to them, I really want to hear your feedback. I really, really, really want to hear your feedback. I really am intrigued to know why you feel the way you feel, because I am grateful to you. Are you telling me why not, so that then I can move on and serve other customers in the future? That's the way I do it, and that's for the right sense. Okay, so that's R. E is for exercise. Now, you might say to me, oh, look, here we go. I know I should be doing more of this and all that jazz. Well, let me tell you about why I put exercise in terms of resilience. Now, some of you mentioned their mental health and perseverance and all those things earlier on, and you're right. Now, I'll tell you this much, right? I went into the gym about 3 weeks before my wedding, and I basically said, I want to look like her. Now, I still don't look like her, right? I still can't do push-ups like that. I still don't have a stomach like that, despite the number of planks I've done since. But the thing is, I remember anyway, going into the gym, and I remember saying, I want to look, I want to look better in my wedding dress, or whatever I said like that, right? And I knew this so long until the wedding, I said 3 weeks. They kind of laughed and said, right, come on, we'll see what we can do. They didn't do much, but I'll tell you what happened was, what I noticed by starting to do exercise is 3 things, right? Number 1 is I couldn't be thinking about whatever I was stressing about while trying to make a show of myself on a spinning bike, or while trying to get my technique right of doing a shoulder press, or trying to keep myself from falling down while doing said plank. And I noticed when I came out of the gym, actually, I noticed just how clear my thoughts were, how clear things came to me. And you know what? There's 4 places you'll get your best ideas, right? Number 1 is just before you go to sleep and just before you wake up. Number 2, when you're on holidays. Number 3 is when you're exercising. And number 4 is in the shower. None of those are at your desk. None of them. The point is, it's only when we're actually outside of our environments. It's when we're outside of our existing environments. That's the difference. That is where we can really and truly see a difference. So the first thing I noticed was exercise is actually good just to take my mind out of my body for a while. Well, I don't quite do that, but you know what I mean, is that if I just separate the two and I can just focus on my body and not be thinking about whatever's going on in my mind. The second thing is that I found that genuinely, when you feel fitter, when you're healthier, you can actually be an awful lot more resilient when it comes to having that extra push of, I'm going to get up half an hour earlier to do this, or I need the extra energy to push through something that I'm working on, or whatever it might be. So that can also be the second reason as well, why I think exercise can actually be very good. And number 3 is when you actually find your thing. When I tell you what my thing is now, I actually don't go to the gym anymore. Do you know what I do now? You might laugh at me, but sure, anyway, it's no harm for me to tell you, is I actually do dance workouts now on YouTube. Jamie at the Studio is the channel that I follow, and I'm telling you, Beyonce, oh my God, now when I'm trying to follow her with oh geez, Crazy in Love, that song, I tell you, can make bruises happen when you're not even moving. She has like dance workouts now from 15 minutes to 40 minutes, and that's what I do. And I love it better when I can do them outside, because I've got technique, I've got music, and I really have to focus on them, and they do all the right things for me. Thanks, Sarah, delighted to hear it. So can I hear from you now? What is your thing when it comes to exercise? And I'm telling you, I only discovered my dance workout since Christmas. Before that, I would have done other things, but the dancing that really is for me. So I'd love to hear, what do you do in terms of exercise, and why do you do it as well? Love to hear that from you. Love to hear that. Zumba, Angie, yeah, Zumba course, similar type of idea. So what do you do? And running, let me see, hill walk, whoa, they're all coming at me now, brilliant. Football training, rowing, boxing, body combat. I'm a brown belt in karate as well, but from years and years ago. Walking, yoga, lockdown discovery, going to walk, thinking of going to the gym, great, going to the gym while listening to audiobooks. Yeah, and I used to actually listen to podcasts while I was exercising, and then I felt I could either do one or the other. Going on long walks or hikes or mountains, but also sometimes dance. It seems that I am among my peers in here, so that's brilliant. So I have really found that E for exercise has inadvertently, I find that exercise exercises my mind as well as my body. Go and clear my head. Brilliant, delighted to hear that. Right, so P is, okay, that was just a sound issue there. So P is for perspective. That is mapping reality to expectations, having empathy for others or asking others to have empathy for you, and establishing meaning behind what you're doing. Resourcefulness, R for resourcefulness, is that spreadsheet, is being hungry to know why not. Why did you not offer me this job or this placement? And not from a despondent point of view, but from a research point of view. And then thinking, how can I turn that no into a yes in the future, or to a yes right now? Okay, then E is for exercise, like I was saying. Right, now next one is F. F is for focus. Now, for the crack, right, I'm going to ask you right now, right, and I would love to see how many people actually do this. Right, on a sheet of paper there now in front of you. It's much harder to do this on a screen, but just we'll see how many people do it. Can you write? I'm going to time you, right? I'm going to time you here now. Wait till we have the timer. Okay. Now somebody says here that they can't see my slides. Right. I'm going to fix that while I'm going to ask you to do something. Now I'm going to set up the timer here and have you all. Hopefully now everybody has a piece of paper in front of them and a pen. Do you remember when we used to like write stuff down, right? Anyway, I know it's like talking about the abacus, but all the same. Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask you to write the numbers 1 to 26 in a row. Just write the numbers 1 to 26 in a row. And I'm going to, you can go in 3, 2, 1, go. And tell me in the chat when you're done. I'll tell you how long it's taking you. Tell me when you're done in the chat. Okay, one of you has said it's done. So the fastest person was 20 seconds. Okay, Connor has done, Robin's done, Isabella. Right, brilliant. Great, Roland, Pauline, brilliant. Okay, now, underneath that, can you now write the letters A to Z in a row, right? That was 21 seconds it took to do 1 to 26. A to Z in a row. A to Z in a row. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, the fastest, Kieran, my God. Okay, Robin, Charlene, Rachel, all of you have done 12 seconds. In total, the two of those took the minimum amount that it took, and I can see loads of you, brilliant. I love the fact you're all doing this, right? It took you 33 seconds. Now, 33 seconds. Now, the next task you have to do, and I'm going to start this in literally the minute I finish give you this instruction, write A1, 2B, 3C, 4D, etc. Go. Tell me how long it takes you. No cheating. All the way to 26Z. So write, Daniel, A1. So you have to write A then 1, B then 2, C then 3, D then 4. Right? So letter number, all the way down to the end of the alphabet. I just want to let you know we've already passed 33 seconds. Now, Pauline, good woman. Pauline has done it 42. And that's the first one. Now, I would expect three things happen there, right? Number one is you probably made mistakes. Number two, you were either swearing in your mind or swearing out loud. And number three, it took at least 10 seconds longer to do it. Do you know what the point of that is? Is multitasking doesn't work. Look what happened there. Look how quick you were able to do it when you just had one task and then the other. It's when you're mixing things up. Multitasking, it does not work. Honestly, it simply does not work. Another book recommendation for you, and here it is. I'm going to get it for you right now. The book recommendation that I have for you this time, you forgot the alphabet one beside the numbers, is this one. It's called Do Nothing. Now, I got this book and I thought, here. I am not someone that's built for doing nothing. But this book by Celeste Headley is all about, it's basically all about this. It's about how to focus properly. And it's also about how to give your brain the best chance to do as much as you can in as little time as you can, right? Now, multitasking, no one actually multitasks. What you do is that your brain really quickly moves from one task to the other and back again, and forwards, back, forwards, back, forwards, back. What was actually happening there was your brain was doing the alphabet, then you asked it to switch it to a number every time you wrote something down. So, focus, okay, right. I'm just going to stop sharing there now for a moment, and I'll just talk my way through a couple of points here. So what I would say, here's how I focus, right? Number one is that I do not multitask ever. I really don't. I really and truly don't. Imagine if while you were doing that, I was over here trying to get a Menti question ready. I wouldn't do it. The name of that book, Sarah, this one is Do Nothing by Celeste Headley. I've given you 3 book recommendations so far. One is The Art of Asking the Right Questions. That one is by Caroline McHenry. Okay. And do you know what I'll do later on is I'll tweet the 3 of them for you, for all of you, on hashtag Future Skills Week. The second book recommendation I gave you was, it'll come back to me. And then the third one is this. Oh, sorry. The second one was Clear and Critical Thinking by Valerie Pierce. And then the third one is this. It's Do Nothing by Celeste Headley. As I say, I'll tweet all 3 names on hashtag Future Skills Week later on anyway, and you'll be able to get those. Okay. So first of all, that's what I do. Another thing, you might laugh at me now when I say this, right? Another thing I do is that when I'm working on something, I absolutely clear the desk of everything that's on it. Everything. I take away everything. I wouldn't have, like, I put my phone upstairs when I'm working on something, like really focusing on something. I will just clear the decks of anything. Yesterday, I'm working on a consultancy project and I'm finishing it. I have to finish it for later on today. And within that, I went out yesterday. I sat outside, I wrapped myself up in about 3 blankets. It was bright, but it was cold. And me and a sheet of paper, the diary that I have here, I actually tweeted about that as well. I don't spend my life on Twitter now, but I just want to say the evidence of it is there. And I just took the book that I was working off, the paper that I had, and a coffee, and that's it. And that is what I do. So when it comes to me in focus, number 1 is I do not multitask, and number 2 is that I clear the decks. I clear all visual distractions out of my way, and I particularly take the phone away. Now, by the way, I don't try to not look at my phone. I turn that around as well, is that I give myself phone treats. So I say, right, if I get this done now within the next 20 minutes, then I can go and I can look at my phone for 10, as opposed to, I'm not going to look at my phone. I turn that around. Okay, so so far I've given you 4 letters. P, perspective. R is for resourcefulness. That's the spreadsheet. E is for exercise. F is for focus, and my 2 key tips in there. Now, E E is for emotional leverage points. And emotional leverage points is something where it is where I think about how I can make small changes in my life, so 1% changes, in order that have a disproportionate effect on the outcome. So I'm going to give you 3 daily habits that I have, right? 3 daily habits that I have that if you do something for 21 days in a row, it simply becomes a habit after that. No question. It simply becomes a habit after that. And I do these 3 things now. I don't even think about them anymore. I just do, right? I just do. So, but they've had a really big impact, right? So my quote for this, right, to set this scene is, don't count the things you do, do the things that count. And these are the 3 things that I do every day, as I say, without even thinking. The first one is that lots of people, you know, talk about, well, how do you start your day? Do you start your day with this? Do you start your day with exercise? I'll tell you how I start my day. I start my day not with the most urgent thing. I start my day by doing the most important thing. The thing that can have the greatest impact on the rest of the day, or now that I've staff, or the thing that I can do that can have the greatest impact but for my team. Joel, I totally agree with you. Atomic Habits by James Clear you're very, very right on that. I've heard of that. I have another couple of books like that as well that I could recommend, but you're totally right there. So by starting off by what is the most important thing I could do today, not what is the hardest thing, not what is the most urgent thing, what is the most important thing that I can do today? And when I start off by doing that, then I often create a ripple effect of all the other things that could happen thereafter. So let me give you 3 examples. If I was looking at placement, one of the things that I might do that is the most important thing today, for example, is that I would write a cover letter for 3 different placement opportunities where the cover letter would be tailored to the opportunity itself. And I would send those off, because now I know that by putting that into the hands of other people, they're now in a position to take action to help me. So I'm now conspiring with the universe to make sure that other people are now moving in the direction that I would like to go. And I'm sure you all know where to find the placement opportunities on Handshake. Personally, I'm not overly familiar, so if I could ask the host or somebody from the Ulster Employability team to maybe just add thank you. I'd really appreciate that if you add the link. Now, if I was applying for a job, I might say, well, what's the most important thing I could do? The most important thing that I could do this morning is make 2 appointments with 2 recruitment companies where they will give me a conversation about what is it that I would like to do, and you know, what sort of skills do I have, and where they'll do a mock interview with me, and also they might give me 5 key things that I could do in order to increase my chances of getting an interview. So again, the most important thing I can do is enable other people to help me. Now, let's say that I am me, right? Let's just say that it's me. What is the most important thing that I start off by doing today? I want to tell you that on Friday, as part of Future Skills Week, I am MC for the event around tech and sustainability for the business school. So the most important thing I could do was that I rang the person who takes care of social media. Her name is Leanne in the business school. And we had a chat about how we could expand the reach of the event beyond beyond the community that we have and beyond our own social media reach, and how we could go further, because there's some really, really great people who are going to give some kind of futuristic insights that we can upskill for today. So you see what I did? First thing I did today was, right, who can I talk to that will enable me and them in order to move forward in the direction where I might, where we can both help each other. That is the way I start every day. Kathy has just posted the link up there now. Thank you. And you're all very welcome to it, obviously. I think it'll be very interesting and very insightful from an employability point of view as well. So check it out. So first thing I do every day is, what's the most important thing that I can do? Number 2, every day, and I mean every day, without fail, is I build a relationship. I build a relationship with someone. I'll have a coffee with someone. Of course, they're all virtual at the moment. I'll have a coffee with someone. I will just spend a little bit of time extra on a meeting, just, understanding a little bit more about their world. I'll have a chat with a staff member about what they're doing. I will write a thank you card to a client who we've worked with, but without fail, I build a relationship every single day, because I can tell you now, 80% of the job market is hidden. 80% of it is hidden. We're taking on a new staff member next week, 1st of June. And I'll tell you how she got that job, right? I had no intention of giving her a job. I didn't even have a job to offer her. So this particular person, her aunt, who I know very well in business, she says to me, look, my niece is, she's looking for a placement, actually, only it's in a university in the south. And she says, will you have a chat with her about where she could look? And I said, yeah, of course, no problem. Very, very happy to do that. 100 placements with Northern Ireland Civil Service coming soon. Cool. So anyway, I said, okay, no problem. Look, I'll have a chat with her, because I do an awful lot of work around work experiences for teenagers and for people in college. But from a company point of view, companies bring us in to run the work experiences for them. So I said, yeah, of course I will. And anyway, and I would know her aunt very well from years of having those chats. And anyway, then this girl appeared in front of me anyway on Zoom, and it was like she was made to work in the business. Oh my God. She just said all the various different things that I thought would really fit our culture, and there was some gaps in the business that could have been filled. I didn't have a job, but anyway. So I said to her, I said, listen, sorry, I'm just going to run to the bathroom. And I did anyway. And of course, it wasn't the bathroom at all. I rang my husband, who's also my business partner, and I said, I think we have a staff member looking in front of us. And he said, huh? You said you were going to have a 20-minute Zoom chat with somebody, and now we have a staff member. Which is it? And I said, no, I think so. And I had a chat with him there and then, and by the end of the call, we offered her a job. Genuinely. So 80% of the job market is hidden. And that is because a lot of people don't know that they have jobs to offer, but when the right person comes along, they'll find it. The only way you will find that hidden market, and one of you has sent me in a question saying, how would you network with people over the internet? Couple of key things there, because you asked me that question. Again, Mentimeter is open. I'll take as many questions as I can before we have to go, and before I'll be going on to the session around boosting your ambition. But I'll tell you what I think here, right, is how you network with people over the internet. Number one is attend things and interact. Planned happenstance. Interact with people in the chat. Follow up with them in LinkedIn afterwards. If there's a hashtag like on Twitter, follow up with people there. So use those environments. If you're in, and like when Rachel mentioned there at the beginning, those career cafes that are on every morning from 9 until 10, they're opportunities to interact with people. And you have the placements that are all there. If you're a student, you've all the placements there. Lots of different organizations are running events. Like the business and the tech and sustainability one that we have on Friday. Lots of companies who you might have your eye on are running webinars. Interact with people there. Follow up with them on LinkedIn afterwards, say how much you enjoyed it, and you might be interested in getting more information or registering for their newsletter, etc. Build up your touch points from there. That's what I would say. Okay, so the two things that I have said to you so far around E for emotional leverage points are, number one, do something. Do the first thing that you would choose to do every day is do the thing that can have the most impact. Number two is build a relationship with somebody every day, even if it's a small one, even if it's an embryonic one. Can I just one more answer I'm going to give to that person who asks me, how do I network with people over the internet? Give you one other example. On Friday, after I finish emceeing the session, I will put together a 10-minute summary video on my LinkedIn. And I've done that. If any of you find me on LinkedIn, my name is Susan HayesCulleton. You'll find me there. If you look at my feed, I gave a session 10 days ago for the Institute of Bankers all around a variety of topics to do with environmental, social, and governance, and negative interest rates, fintech, etc. I put a summary on LinkedIn after that, and if I tell you right now, I think the last time I checked, about 2,500 views on that. Lots of people sent me messages about it afterwards. People commented, people liked it that I didn't know at all. But it was just my way of expanding the reach of. So I put all the work into researching it anyway. There was over 600 people attended that. I'm trying to get it here now for you. See all activity. If I go on to my posts, and I will tell you that summary video, oh, here it is. Oh, 3,654 views and 85 likes. And a lot of those people I didn't know. So that can be a way as well, is when you're like, all of you can do this, right? You're all here during Future Skills Week. Do a short blog post of your summary of an event and post it up on LinkedIn. And copy us, copy me, or copy, put in the hashtag, we'll retweet it, or we'll share it for you. That's the way to do it. That is exactly the way to do it, and that's also building relationships. So thank you for asking that question. The third thing I do every day is that I do what I suggested that you did about half an hour ago, is to write down every day something that I've done that's meaningful or that's had an impact on somebody. Every day, every single day. And that is the E of prefer, is emotional leverage points. That's how I don't count the things you do the things that count. They're the things that count for me, are building relationships, doing things that have an impact, and telling myself or letting myself feel the joy of having had that impact as well. Okay, last letter is R for prefer, and I'm going to be finished R in about 3 minutes. So if you have any other questions, pop them in the chat or pop them on Mentimeter, and I'll get to as many as I can before we finish up, because I do want to give some time to Rachel, who's going to wrap up at the end as well. Okay, so R is for recharge. It is so important to recharge, and I didn't believe that for a long time. Right, I just thought, yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah. But like, look, I was somebody that studied a lot in college, and I had 4 jobs while I was in college, set up my own business, worked all the time. And as I hope you can see, I'm also someone with a lot of energy and delighted to be that way. But it is so important that you take time to recharge, super important. And I'll tell you why, is you are the foundation, right? You are the foundation of your life. You are the foundation of your family. You're the foundation of the job that you do. Lots of you are brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters and your cousins and your siblings and your bosses and your managers and your future citizens and your consumers and your all these things. Just if you make sure, it is not selfish to recharge, it is selfless. Because unless you have got your own foundation, unless that's strong, you're simply not going to have it to be able to offer to anybody else. So my 6 letters, and I'm now going to hand you back to Rachel. My 6 letters are P for perspective, R for resourcefulness, that's the spreadsheet, E for exercise, F for focus, forget your multitasking, remember the A to Z, E for emotional leverage points, that's doing what you can that's impactful, documenting it and building relationship every day, and R for recharge, selflessly. Rachel, back to you.
Lovely, Susan, thanks very much. Guys, just a reminder, pop your questions into the chat there. We've got Susan for a few more minutes, and then Susan, you're nipping off to your next session at 1. So busy lady this week at Future Skills Week. Guys, a couple of things just I want to draw your attention to. We are really, really excited to have members of the Northern Ireland Senior Women's Football Team with us on Thursday. Okay, so really great session lined up. They're going to be talking about their journey to the 2022 Euros, challenges that they've encountered along the way. So lots of stuff in there as well on resilience. So registered now. A couple of sessions tomorrow. We have the Entrepreneur Factor, Do You Have It? That session is with Leo Mullen from the Enterprise Causeway Agency. So another really important session there. Graduate employers are telling us all the time that they want applicants who show entrepreneurial enterprise skills. So this isn't just for those of you who want to start their own business. This session is for everybody, so get signed up now. The last session that I just want to plug is tomorrow too. So press play, get work ready. So this session is with Anne Orr. It looks like a brilliant session. So it's all about communicating in the workplace, making your voice heard at meetings, getting your ideas across. A really, really good session. So that's tomorrow. It starts at 1. So get signed up ASAP. As I said at the start of the session, loads on the website. We've got our podcasts. We've got all our jobs that we've talked about a bit already today. The EDGE accreditation, 4 sessions or more, you can get an EDGE activity. So keep an eye for more comms on that. We've got our one-to-one sessions every morning with our employability advisors if you want something a little bit more bespoke. And I think that's pretty much everything. Susan, any questions there that have come through for you? Everybody seems to have really enjoyed the session. It was fabulous. There will be a record. This has been recorded, by the way, so you can access that on our website. It should be up by tomorrow. Susan, any last thoughts? Anything?
Just want to say thanks a million to everybody. That's really lovely. It's really, really great to hear that. And thanks a million to everybody who stayed on right throughout the session. And I'd love to see, there's lots more happening at Future Skills Week. So I'd love to see you either at another session, or we can interact on the hashtag, or of course, feel free to follow up with me. And Rachel, thanks so much for taking great care of me today as well. You're wonderful.
Thank you, Susan. You've been excellent. Brilliant session, and can't wait to hear more from you during the week at your other sessions. Okay, guys, so I'm going to let Susan go so she can get ready for her next session. So if there's no more questions, that's us. I'll stop recording and look forward to seeing you all at other events as the week continues.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye.